Hi, my name is Josiah Schwan, and I'm currently a junior here at MSU. And I just love to share the best decision I've made in my life. The beginning of my testimony might sound familiar. I was born and raised in a family and community that always put Jesus in the kingdom first. And growing up, I was a staff kid, crew staff kid who got to spend his summers around students who loved and treated me as their friend and set an amazing example of what it looks like to live a Christ-centered life. I definitely would say I knew God at a young age, and I would follow my parents' footsteps and the example that they set back. And looking back, I just realized how blessed I am for, the upbringing I have and the people I was able to be around. And just being around young Christian guys who lived out their faith was such an amazing example. But it was later tested in high school where I later realized how shallow my faith was. And almost the Christian community and just faith to me almost turned into white noise. And it wasn't until high school where I kind of switched perspectives and started chasing things of this world. For people who don't know me closely, my parents have always worked in ministry, so I always felt an obligation to act and be a certain way because I felt that there was a spotlight on my life. Even though my parents weren't a part of the pressure, I always felt that I needed to act and be a certain way. So my whole life, I heard the Bible stories and the conversations Christians had, and because of a lot of this, I think I was able to convince a lot of people a life I was living. Externally, it looked like I had very strong faith, but internally, my life wasn't Christ centered. I was very knowledgeable and well versed in common teachings and just how Christians talked, and I used that kind of as a mask to kind of cover up the true life I was living and not raise questions and fly under the radar. I did well in high school. I never really caused trouble from an outside perspective, and my life seemed good, but deep down, I was definitely struggling. And it was a life that was aimed towards the weekends. I bounced back and forth from friend groups that I only hung out on those weekends, and friends who knew me better and were walking with the Lord, but I never really felt grounded in one friend group. I had a lot of friends, but didn't really feel known by anyone, and to be honest, I was completely lost. Um, to deal with this, I didn't know who I was, so I kind of focused on just making the best version of myself. And I think right off the bat, it wasn't a bad thing, but I think this very quickly became a problem for me. I was very driven and focused on just what I could do in my life, and honestly, I thought I could do anything if I was strong enough and worked hard enough. Um, but this led me to take value in other things outside of my relationship with God. I took pride in people that I knew, my school success, my girlfriends, and the job I had, and just anything I could achieve for and strive for more. I very quickly found this prideful and unattainable lifestyle to lead me to some of the lowest points and hardest times in my life. I was constantly disappointed in myself, never content, and no matter what I did, I wasn't able to feel good about myself or feel accomplished about everything. I was always exhausted, and it wasn't later until the end of my junior year that the Lord took me to a breaking point. And it was in those challenging days leading up to my senior year that I finally fully decided to give my life to Christ. And I was so blessed to be given these lessons and challenges before college. Uh, this is not to say my life is all rainbows and butterflies now. I still feel my testimony is being written to this very day, and God is shaping me into the man He wants me to become, and just constantly strengthening my walk. But even this past year, I realized I was falling into some of the similar sins that I thought I learned from in high school, but just kind of scoped at a different aspect of my life. This time it was aimed towards my career and what I defined as worldly success. I found myself being extremely selfish with my time, energy, and gifts, all that were given from God. And the Lord blessed me with a great job, a love for what I was studying in school, and clear passions and hobbies to pursue, and the most amazing community. But yet again, the idea of constantly chasing and putting my self-worth in what I could do was constantly leaving me hurt, and at the end of the day was just always leaving me hurt and disappointed. uh, the way I dealt with this wasn't giving it to God, but constantly just shoveling it back onto myself and trying to push through it. I put my friends, family, and a relationship, and most importantly, my walk with God underneath all of this. Looking back, I can see it was fueled by a combination of pride, the fear of not being successful, or not doing enough with my life and just not being grateful for what I had and just lacking humility. But with all this being said, the Lord is an amazing teacher, and I know He wants to kill my pride, but He also shows me amazing grace. He showed me how broken I am and how much I need to give everything to Him, no matter how big or how small, whatever it is. He's giving me a whole new definition of what success is to me, one that's aimed at loving Him and being a man built for others above all else. He's given me self-worth, not from the things I've accomplished, but the fact that I'm the son of a king, and I see myself and the things I do from His perspective rather than a worldly one. I think a verse that I'd love to share that kind of just wraps up my testimony is just Matthew 6:33, and it's just seeking Him above all else, Him, His kingdom, and His righteousness, and all things will be given to you as well. It's a perfect reminder of how I want to live my life, and every thought or action I just want to be directed towards God, and He gives me rest and great strength knowing when I'm walking with Him, which is nothing I could ever do with my life. And I just know whenever I try to walk this path alone and with my own strength, it's always a reminder of how weak I am and how strong and amazing our God is. So yeah, that's just a brief story about who I am and a little bit about my walk. And if you relate to any of this, I'm always an open book and would love to sit down and have a conversation with you. But really appreciate you guys listening and hope you have a great rest of your week. Bye.